Hi everybody, welcome to Smoky Hill Bonsai. I hope the holiday seasons are treating you well, and here we are in the home stretch, getting ready to close out 2020. I think for a lot of us that can't come quick enough. Man, we had a lot of big changes here this year in 2020, outside of all the crazy COVID crap and all that, but you know, the big thing was we made a move from the old house into the new house, and one of the big reasons that we wanted to make that move was we wanted more space for the kids to run around. Plus I wanted to keep my bonsai garden going. We still wanted to have a place in the backyard to entertain. And I think this new location is going to afford all of that to us. So the next big step is trying to plan out that landscape and try to figure out how to make that space work for everybody. So what I want to do in my next few videos is take you through the process that I use in designing a landscape or designing a space. And obviously in this case it's going to be our backyard, but you can apply this practice to any space that you want to design, whether it's your own backyard, your front yard, working on a space for a friend, or if your church, your civic organization, somebody takes on a project where they're helping create a new green space or clean up the space. You can use a lot of these same practices. How I do the process, and it's kind of old school, you know, it's nothing fancy. I'm not taking this out on the road to sell it to somebody. This is for us. And so I'm going to show you the simple practice that I use, which is just using a T-square, a ruler. We'll be working with a 10:1 scale. So we'll use an architect scale today. And I'll go through and show you all these. I have some notes I took from several days back when it was raining and I took some measurements in the backyard. I always forget a measurement or two, but we're gonna get started tonight and see how much of this we can get down on paper. So I hope you'll stick around. Hopefully I can teach you a few things about getting a landscape design, designing your space, making it a comfortable thing for your needs. So let's get started. So as we get started on this project, there's a lot of things you want to think about as you're moving forward with the project, thinking about, you know, why you want to do this, what your goals are, what are you really looking for. So like I mentioned before, we're looking for play space for the kids, a space in the yard for entertaining guests, and then some garden space, which includes a space that I want to grow out some seedlings to advance their process into become future bonsai. And then some of the trees that I already have, I want to be able to put my benches back up and continue to grow them out in that space. So I need to look at the yard really well, understand where the sun is in the summertime, where it's going to be in the winter time. Is it going to be in a space that the kids will be throwing footballs or soccer balls into? Will it be distracting when we have company over? Am I going to be able to keep it weeded and keep it looking attractive? So those are a lot of things we want to think about. So I'll show you some of the drawing tools that I'll use tonight, and then we'll try to get the drawing, just the plot layout done in this video. So, what I'm looking at is today will be part 1, and we'll do a part 2 and part 3. So let me show you what we're going to use, and while I'm gathering that up, I'm going to show you the clip of measuring the yard. Be right back. Okay, so I don't know if this is gonna work because it's starting to rain. So the first thing that I need to do, I'm gonna measure all of the backyard, and then I'm also gonna measure where the house sits in that space. So we have a wall, and then let's see, come out. Deck, which I'm standing on now, and then in the back we've got the structure that's going to stay. We're going to quickly get these measurements taken before it starts raining. And so this tool I'm using here is a measure wheel. Contractors use it a lot on big projects. It's not as accurate as a tape measure, but in this case I just need to get it really close, and I don't have to get it down to an inch. This distance here was 97 feet, and then the distance across the lawn was 85 feet. This sticks out 2 feet from the house. And the length of the house here is 23 feet. This length here is 18 feet. 40 feet to where the gate is, and it's 25 feet. And from the house to the fence here, it's 15 feet. And over here, it's 14. Okay, that was shot a few days ago, and I've got that notebook here with some of the measurements written down, so we'll have something to work off of tonight. So we'll just put that off to the side for now. I'm going to show you the drawing paper and the T-square, but I'm going to put that down next after we do this. Like I mentioned earlier, we're working with an architect scale tonight. If you've been in the store and you've seen the square, or I'm sorry, the triangle shaped rulers. What we're using tonight is a 10:1 scale. And we'll see if this focuses on these numbers here. You can see it's beat up. I've used this for a lot of years. But on 10:1, what that represents is 1 inch equals 10 feet in our drawing. So the scale is going to be 10:1. Every 1 inch equals 10 feet. And then there are 9 dots in between there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the 10. So this would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so on feet. And 10:1 works real good for your home landscape. It works good for little projects that you're working on. Obviously, bigger projects, campuses, parks, things like that, you would go to a different scale. This works good for the backyard landscape. And then pencil wise, I like to start with just a simple pencil. Any of this is a little paper mate. I like it because as you use it and it kind of dulls a little bit, you just click it. Yeah, it's easy to erase. So a couple erasers here if we have to erase something. All said and done, I'll go back with some fine tip Sharpies and ink all of that in. So once I have that initial plot plan, basically it's all the permanent structure, the house, the fence, the deck that's back there, anything that I intend to leave in this landscape, it will be plotted out. Only draw it one time, but after that I'll either photocopy or I'll use tracing paper to make more copies that we'll draw on later. This little triangle here, more straight edges. I'll show you how that works. I've got pennies on there because when you're running your ink along that paper, if that was setting down on the paper, sometimes it bleeds and sucks up underneath there. So those pennies just keep that up off there just a tiny bit. Okay, so now we're gonna get down to getting our paper sets. Probably didn't say that one of the main reasons why we want to draw this out and draw it to scale is to make sure that we know that everything's going to fit. And when it comes to like buying plants, we'll be able to have a correct measurement and know how many plants are going to fit. If we're going to do a patio, we'll know how many bricks to buy or pavers or whatever we're going to use. We'll know space that may need mulch. We'll be able to do the math accurately beforehand, just by knowing what's on paper. I have to make sure my paper is big enough, and I know that from the front fence line to the back is going to be 97 feet. And since we're doing 10:1, I'll find my square here, or my ruler, and like I said, every inch is going to be every inch is 10 feet, and I clearly have enough room on this, so I will square my paper up. So here I'll use the T-square, and the way this works is it hooks on the edge of your table here. You can use your triangles and stuff to square your edges up just to make sure that they're still good. You line your edge of your paper up with your T-square. Now, when you work up and down your page off this edge, everything's going to be parallel and look nice. And Then for your vertical lines, you can set your triangle on there and get those lines. Okay, so I've got my square firmly and squarely on the edge of my table. I have my paper on there. And now it doesn't matter. I can turn this paper sideways and then tape it down. As long as I'm always going off of this square area from the table, then everything on the paper will be fine. And so basically I'm just going to tape these corners, and I'm going to tape them just enough that if I get in there and I start erasing or something, the paper's not going to bunch up and fall off. And this painter tape works great too, because if my wife has a project this weekend where she has to do something for school, I can pull this paper off. She could have the space, and then all I have to do is use my T-square to square the edges up again, and I will be set. First thing I'm going to do is, I know that the width of my entire yard is 85 feet. This might be too light for the camera to pick up, and once I kind of get going and talk about a couple things, I'll speed through it, and then you'll see it better when I trace it out with the marker. Mark it. I'm going to find 85 feet that represents on this scale. I've got those marks. Now I simply drop my triangle on there, line that up, and then all I'm really interested right now, let's just find the width of the yard. Okay, so on this drawing, that is going to be as wide as the yard is. Now the next thing I know is that from the corner of my fence up to the top is 97 feet on this side of the yard. So I will turn this, I'll call that the corner, and I'll run on that line. I will find 97 feet. Since I've got that already squared up, I'll just go ahead and draw that. Okay, so now I know the distance from the front fence to the back fence. The next thing that I know is that the house sets in 15 feet from that fence. So now I can mark that correctly. And then on this side it happens to be 14 feet. And I'm just interested right now in coming in on that measurement. And then I can find, that's where the line is. Just draw right to there. So basically, this line represents the front fence. The next thing I know is that the side of the house that's in the backyard is 25 feet. And from that corner, it goes over 23 feet. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and plot this whole thing out, and then I'll go ahead and speed it up. So we have turned this quick sketch and measurements from the backyard into this quick drawing here, 10:1 scale. So what we're looking at here is, you can see the house, the thick lines, the outline of the house, and then this is the existing deck as it sits. Currently in the backyard, there's a play set that the kids enjoy, and we will probably continue to have that feature in the backyard. It's sturdy and they like it, so it's most likely going to stay. So I'll get measurements on it and set it in place. Really ballparking what I'm thinking, this area will remain a kids area. If they're lucky, they're going to get a trampoline here for Christmas. However this deck lines out and finishes out, there'll be a patio around it, probably with a fire pit. I really would like some big shade trees back here, and then I think this space in here is going to fit what I want to do with bonsai pretty well. I'm going to have the benches and some of the trees that are a little further along where they can be seen, and then some raised beds in the back here that I can grow out some seedlings. The next step that I'm going to do is just lay some tracing paper over the top of this and make another copy of it, and that will be something that I can take and photocopy, and then I can give a copy to Anne Marie. I could take a couple copies, and then we can just kind of start throwing our ideas out on paper. And then once we do that, we can meet back together, kind of pick and choose things that we kind of like, and once we have an idea, then we can start putting things to scale back onto paper here. So I'm gonna throw this down real quick and trace it. That's about all this video will be for today. So I hope you stay tuned and watch how we progress with this. So I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you can follow along with the rest of this backyard design project. It's not going to be all bonsai, but part of this reason is because of growing out the bonsai. So please hit the like button, and if you have any questions going along the way of why I'm doing things the way I am, or if you want to know more about the way I'm working on something, if you have suggestions about anything, just leave them in the comments, and I'll be happy to read them and respond to them. So until then, be safe everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.